The Man Whore podcast is sponsored by Cam Soda. Cam Soda has thousands of amateur girls next door and all of the hottest porn stars today, including Danny Daniels, Tori Black, and Brandy Love. Get free tokens today when you sign up at camsoda.com/podcast. The Man Whore podcast is sponsored by beadandy.com, the only condom subscription service I've ever heard of. Get 50% off your starter pack of condoms when you visit beadandy.com/podcast. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
What's up, all you fan whores, man whores, and coke whores? This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Episode 200. Oh, yeah. Wow. What's up, everyone? This is exciting. Yeah, now, see, this feels like the good run of the intro. You know, we had a false start earlier trying a different intro. I wasn't a fan. This one is the one where I feel the energy. This one feels like episode 200. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. If for some reason, number 200 is the one you're starting with, this is a podcast where I typically talk to women I've hooked up with about sex, dating, and why we didn't work out. And for episode 200, we will be hearing from one of my past and or present partners. Actually, we'll be hearing from two of them. I'll tell you more about this week's show format in a bit. But first, no show dates right now, people. No show dates to share. I do want you to take note that February 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be doing another Fan Whore Facebook Live Hangout over on the Man Whore Podcast fan page. That's the part of the month where I like to chit-chat with y'all for an hour. It's kind of like my office hours on Facebook Live. So make sure you go like the Man Whore Podcast Facebook fan page so you don't miss it. It's the fan page, not my profile. Sometimes people go, "Hey, I'm having trouble finding the fan page." I don't know. Did you misspell man whore? What's going on here? And another thing regarding exciting news regarding Man Whore Con 2018. All right, dates have been picked out. I have selected a weekend. I know you've been waiting to find out when it is. Man Whore Con 2018. The dates are going to be announced on next week's show. So make sure you tune in next week. But for now, wow, episode 200. 200 weeks, 200 Wednesdays, talking about where my dick's been. Hey, I'm shocked that y'all are still interested, too. So, but here we are, nearly 4 years later. And I think that is just crazy, it is wild. And I can't begin to express, how much this show has come to mean for me. And it seems to be that it has come to mean a lot for some of you out there too. And I think that's just fucking awesome. 200 weeks talking about the sex and dating and polyamory and love and butt stuff and orgies and porn and all this cool stuff. Like, I just think it's wild that I get to talk about this for a living. And it is extremely important that y'all recognize that it is because of you, your downloads, your listening, your engagement, your donations, your support, that this has happened. I don't want to drone on and on about episode 200 tears. But, one thing to know is that I never thought when I started this podcast that the show would grow to provide a community and a support system for me. Especially those of you fan whores who follow me on all the social media and know when shit is going down that maybe doesn't make the podcast in real time. I think when I'm going through a breakup and I get such outpouring amounts of support about validating what I do or validating who I am or reassuring me that I will find someone else, people, then this all coming from people I've never met, that's a beautiful thing. We are part of something pretty beautiful. I know it may be this slutty, sexy, sex fuck show, but we've got like this beautiful thing going on here, and I hope you all recognize that. And so I want to take a step back, and I want to take a look at the show a little bit from like a number standpoint. I drew up some statistics. I crunched a few numbers. Look, as the show has grown and expanded, sure, it started with me just talking to past lovers, but I've since also had the opportunity to interview sex educators and porn stars and sex workers and queer performers and dating experts and stand-up comedians and all sorts of amazing professionals out there in the world doing such cool things. And of course, I continue to have my past partners, my sexual history, my sex-positive quest for love. I keep that still at the core, at the soul, at the heart of this podcast. So I was wondering, well, how many episodes actually feature past, former flames of mine? So I crunched the numbers. 41.7% of the past 199 episodes features someone from my past. That is 69 women, 69 different women, many of whom do not know each other, yet they all share the same common questionable decision of at some point putting their tongue in my mouth. And I didn't artificially come up with that number 69. I swear to God, it naturally comes to 69 have agreed to do this show. I think the funnier stat line is how many women have not agreed to do this podcast. Yeah, I've asked 55 different women who gave me, we'll call them very clear, expressed, and forward no's. Just to give you all a sense of like the scale of which I ask people to do the podcast, I get a shit ton of no's. It's kind of a hard sell. A couple other fun numbers I thought would be interesting. You know, how many episodes was Billy naked in them? How many different episodes was Billy's dick out? I think that came to 9 episodes. Comes in at about like 5%. That's not typical of podcasts. You might find this one a little bit more interesting. How many episodes caused a rekindled flame? Because again, these are women at some point in time, we shared some sort of connection. We had some sort of chemistry that caused us to get sexual or romantic. And so when you sit down and talk to that person for another hour or two, months or years later, sometimes that causes sparks to fly again, right? And like with 10 different women, that caused us to give it another go. Whether that was like, let's try fucking again, or hey, let's try to date. That's happened, quite a few times. With 10 of the women, that's 1 in 7. 1 in 7 of these episodes with my former flames results in us trying again. I thought that was really cool. And with 200 episodes, I thought it'd also be cool to look back at a few first, go down memory lane a little bit. Some of the first things of the show. For example, like the first listener I ever met up with from the podcast. Yeah, that was Chris Connolly up in Boston. What's up, you? At one point, they wrote to me, "Hey, Billy, I would love to come to the Naked Comedy Show on October 2nd and grab a beer." This is back in August of 2014. And we did end up getting together. She did come up and see me get naked, tell jokes on stage, and then bought me a beer afterwards. I was like, whoa, podcasters can get paid in free beer? This is awesome. And I've also since had the pleasure of meeting like so many of you fan whores out there, whether it's here in New York City when you're visiting or at one of my live stand-up comedy shows, or, of course, at ManwhoreCon last year in October. So, and I'm hoping to meet even more of you at ManwhoreCon this year. Also, I was thinking about the first fan email I ever got, and I want to bring it up just because it was such an exciting moment. I remember the moment because I remember I was standing in line for the bus to go to my fucking day job at a gossip magazine, and I still do this, but I like obsessively refresh my Twitter, my Facebook, my email, my Twitter, my Facebook, my email. Now I have Instagram. So it's like my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, my email, my Twitter, my face. It's maddening. And the first time I had an email in the Man Whore Pod email inbox that wasn't like a clerical thing. There wasn't like an email from GoDaddy. It was an actual listener actually asking me a question from May 30th, 2014. So this was like this is after the Kathy episode, which I think was like episode 7 or 8. Now, that may not seem like a long time to wait, but when you're doing a podcast every week for 2 months, embarrassing yourself by putting your sex life on the internet, you're kind of hoping somebody's listening. And so I got one from Eli and Kristen, this adorable couple in Portland, Oregon. My girlfriend and I are both bartenders who look forward to listening to your show on Thursday nights while we make dinner. We have recently begun doing this sexual awakening thing, and we have found that your show gives us a lot to talk about that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise thought of. We are starting to try new things, and it's great to have some inspiration through listening to an honest guy's perspective on a variety of sexual topics. What prompted our sexual experimentation was the admission that my girlfriend has never had an orgasm. Not for me or any other man. Nothing has worked thus far, and I would appreciate if I could ask your sex researcher about female orgasms. We are specifically intrigued by the G-spot, which he has in quotation marks, as if it doesn't exist. People, it exists. But at the end, it says, needless to say, we are huge fans of yours, and that was really cool. Because that's like from almost 4 years ago. I did follow up, tried to like a few days ago, tried to be like, oh, I wonder what they're up to now. Like, are they even still together? Do they still listen to the show when they cook? And sadly, the email address is no longer valid. Granted, it was a Yahoo email address, so maybe they finally got their shit together and got on Gmail. But that was kind of sad because I wanted to know what was up with that dude. Oh, well, I love getting your emails at manwhorepod@gmail.com. I love interacting with you on social media. So I thought, oh my God, who were the first people to do that? Like, what was the first tweet about the Man Whore podcast? Well, the answer is June 4th, the day before my birthday, June 4th, 2014, at Jenny Drinks. She tweets, at a girl monster, I actually was just meaning to tell you about a podcast you'll really like. Check out the Man Whore podcast. Now, that may not seem significant or worthwhile to you, but that's extremely worthwhile to me because she's recommending the show to a friend and her followers. And you have no idea how important that is. Podcasts, unless it gets like some kind of huge Huffington Post-esque news coverage, the main way people find us, one of the most trusted ways people will try a new podcast, is from a friend recommendation. So many times it's like, oh, you know what? My friend recommended this show. I know it's a sex show. I know it has whore in the title. But I promise you, there are more people like you than you think. I know you conservatives who tell me that you have to keep listening to my show on the down low. There's a lot more people in your area like you. If you exist there, others may exist there too. And it means so much to me to get a recommendation from you to your friends, to your social media followers, because that's honestly the best way to help me grow and expand this show. And then this is another cool. This is the last one I want to share. The last first is my first patron. As many of y'all know, Patreon is one of the main ways I'm able to make income from this podcast. Is a huge source of financial support as well as emotional support. And I remember when I launched it back in March of 2015, I had been doing the show for about a year, and I felt like I was ready to launch something like that. And I did. And, days into having it up, I got my first patron. A $2 pledge from Jennifer C. And I got to be honest with y'all. I remember when that first pledge came in, I was so fucking excited. So fucking excited. In fact, I had like 3 pledges in my first 2 days. 2 of them are still patrons to this day. Jennifer C. and Lance. What's up, big man Lance? And she's still a member to this day. She's actually raised her pledge to $4 a month. So she has been a patron of mine for like 3 years consistently. And that's really fucking cool. Speaking of Patreon, hey, sales pitch. This is when some of you are going to scrub forward, and hopefully all y'all will listen and take this to heart. As I said, Patreon, it's the best way to support me financially with this podcast, to become, not just to give me money, but to become a member of our community. We have grown through Patreon such a couple of really cool communities. We've got the Champagne Room, which is our super secret Facebook group for patrons only. We have a lot of great discussion topics there. We share, fun sex and dating and poly related memes, but we also have some really great discussions. I like to put out some polls, let y'all vote on the episode titles. We've had some really deep, serious discussions about love and relationships, and we've had some really funny conversations. Like every Sunday we do Sexual Achievement Sunday, and people just share like what they've gone up to that week. In addition to that, we've got The Peep Show, which is our super exclusive Kick group where we share naughty photos of each other. Think of the body part that also starts with the same letter as Tuesday, and you'll get an idea what we're talking about. I am putting a challenge to my fan whores. If we can reach $1,000 a month pledged by April 16th, which is the 4-year anniversary of the very first Man Whore podcast. If we hit $1,000 by April 16th, I will begin to produce an additional Man Whore podcast every month for everyone. So we get a new episode every Wednesday, and I'll throw in an additional one like the last Monday of every month. That just means more Man Whore podcasts in your ears, and you need to help be a part of making that happen for everyone. Head on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Throw down a buck. Let's make this happen. Let's hit this goal. Again, the link is patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now for this week's show. I said I was going to try to keep the intro short, but it's so hard on such a momentous occasion. Episode 200. Yes, we are here. So, if you remember, episode 100, I turned the mics around a little bit and I interviewed a pair of people who used to hook up with each other, and I talked to them about sex and dating and why they didn't work out. Well, we're spinning the mics around again. This week, I have 2 fan whores, 2 loyal listeners, with whom I've shared a sexual space, and I allowed them to interview me. And many of you listeners were so gracious as to provide some questions for them to help them out. You had some really great ones in there. We some questions that I was certainly not expecting. And we had a really great conversation, the 3 of us. Their names are Kenzie and Lindsay. 2 super cute, super hot gals, super fun, super sexual, super queer, just amazing individuals that I feel lucky I was allowed to, see them naked and stuff. So we sat down, we get into things that really have never come up on this show. I'm so used to interviewing and getting to know other people that there's a lot of stuff about me y'all still don't know. We're talking about gambling. We're talking about my family. We're talking about my favorite porn stars. Let's go ahead and sit down with me, Kenzie, and Lindsay, celebrating 200 episodes of the Man Whore podcast. Fantastic. If y'all just want to say some words and things.
Things, deep throat the mic.
Deep throat the mic.
I mean, there are other things one could deep throat, I feel like, in this room.
Right now, I can't interview you while I'm deep throating anything.
Kenzie, don't limit yourself.
I mean, I could be here to be an interpreter, at least.
It's true.
That means, what's your favorite color?
I mean, I was learning ASL for a while. Mm-hmm. My grandmother tried to teach me ASL, so
because your grandmother was too busy sucking dicks while trying to communicate.
I mean, she did tell me when I was younger to be sluttier.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Grandma.
Yeah. When I first had a boyfriend in middle school, my grandmother was very disappointed in me. She was like, "You need to play the field. You need to you can't just settle down. You have to play the field."
Well, I mean, in middle school, I mean.
But even through college, she passed away right before I graduated college, and she was always giving me that advice. And then a few months later, I decided to be polyamorous in her honor.
Yeah.
take that,
Okay,
family.
Grandma.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, we're here for episode 200.
We are indeed.
Yeah. Wow. That's ridiculous. How
I
have you
know.
made it this far? I'm shocked.
How are people still listening? I don't know.
I don't know.
Twitter
Well,
hasn't roasted you to death yet.
Well, y'all two are fans, so you probably can answer that better than
I've
me.
only stuck around for a year.
Uh-huh.
I
TBD.
don't think I've listened to every episode either.
I know. Like once you sleep with them, it just sort of goes downhill from there.
Honestly, that was the Sophia did the show, and that was the first like listener I ever slept with. And and then when I had her on the show, like back in June, she said, "Yeah, I don't listen that much anymore. I listen sometimes." I was like, "Well, when did you stop listening?" She's like, "Yeah, like a little after I slept with you." I was like, "Oh, I gotta stop doing that. I'm gonna lose."
I think I downgraded my Patreon at one point after that. But that was just because I quit my job.
The funnier story is to say, like, you know, it wasn't as good as I thought, so
Yeah, it
only
was-
$5
it
a
was-
month.
Yeah,
Only
it was good. It was
$5.
good enough for $5 a month,
But not the $10 tier,
Yeah.
friend.
It's like
Not
he
the
does
$5.
try. He does try hard.
Try. Puts in a lot of effort. A lot of effort.
Well, I wanted to introduce right now. I'm sitting here with Lindsay and Kenzie.
Hello.
Hi.
Inverse names. Lindsay, want to say hi?
Hello, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Kenzie.
And I'm that whore boy that y'all listen to.
Yeah.
Hello. I can feel the eye rolls coming already. Is this what it's like to listen to me? Am I watching y'all listen to me and seeing the actual reaction?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, for this 200th episode, I thought it'd be interesting to have listeners / people I've been intimate with interview me for a
Because
change.
we like to continue making questionable life choices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forever and always.
Yeah.
So before we get into that part, I thought it'd be good to like contextualize briefly like what our interactions are. So I don't know, Kenzie, do you want to start with like that question? She's like, huh?
Oh, good.
Gosh,
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
must I revisit?
I don't know. I was listening for a couple of months and then we both got like dumped at around the same time. The first time Paige broke up with you, I had a partner break up with me and I slid into your DMs at one point and somehow got you to agree to drive to Boston to meet up with me because I was going to be on the East Coast.
For like 10 hours.
Well, no, I was there. I was up in fucking Maine making worse life choices for a while. I was in Boston for one night and convinced you to come meet up with me. And then, I don't know, you kept trying to sex me for a while and one thing led to another. Now you're in fucking Sacramento. And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember who slid into whose DMs, to be completely honest. But I think it happened after I supported you on Patreon, because at that point I had one of my own. I had a Patreon that I was pimping back then, but has since gone away because I just wasn't feeling I was producing enough content for it. But I think I backed your Patreon, and then you messaged me because my Patreon is about the sex work that I do. So you were like, "Hey,
Hey,
And
great tits.
yeah. And then I think it continued into Twitter DMs, and then me making you jerk off a decent amount.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, I don't know why, but I feel like I need this specific person's permission to come.
Yeah.
There's like an aura you give out where it's like, you better fucking ask.
Yeah. It's true. And I think that, yeah, that's like the mass majority of our interaction has been that. and you accidentally sending me onto my Apple Watch
Oh, right. Yeah. Oops.
a picture of your ass with a plug in it while I was at a game night.
See, I got that picture as well a little bit afterwards, but he asked
Yeah.
permission.
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah, like, I don't know, 30 minutes later, however long later it's like, is this safe? Is this channel safe? It's like, what are you talking about?
Is this a secure network?
It's a secure line. Can we? This is important, confidential information.
Right.
Ass picture.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was on your watch and I'd asked first, that would have been a welcome picture. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, because then I would like step away and not like pull it up on my watch, you know, sitting next to like 4 other people, 3 of which I work with.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, hello.
Yeah, I've made that mistake
Yeah.
before. My ex had an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And then last week at AVN, like we finally actually were we met up in person for.
So we roomed at AVN together. You were already gonna go, and then I was going for kind of work stuff, and just for fun. And I was like, hey, let's combine forces and rent a badass room. And
It was a badass room.
it was a badass
Oh my
fucking
gosh!
room.
There's just a tub in the middle of the bathroom, or the bedroom.
I took 5 baths while we were there for like 3 days.
I feel bad because I actually never ended up taking a bath in that tub. I was busy ruining my life for interviewing porn stars.
It's true. But yeah, then while we were in Vegas, I was there with my best friend that came to do my hair and makeup for the weekend, and then one of my partners, and Billy asked if he could watch me and my partner fuck, and I was like, yeah, sounds fun. And then halfway through, my partner was like, you want to suck Billy's dick while I fuck you? And I was like, sure.
Sounds fun.
And then literally had Billy's dick in my mouth before we ever kissed. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is not how I normally like to go about things unless it's a glory hole in Queens. Otherwise, I usually prefer to like make out with someone first. But
I mean, situationally, it just happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I'm not complaining or anything. It just.
Gotta go with the flow. Relationship anarchy, man.
Yeah.
so that's how y'all, one would say qualify to be on the show. And I
Yeah.
thought, who better to interview me than people who listen, but have also, seen me naked. So. We opened things up for questions. People could email the show at a special email address that I was not going to be checking or reading, and I forwarded it to these two ladies so they could put your words in their mouths. And I'm sure y'all maybe have questions yourselves and can kind of see where it goes. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that we have some questions, and some of these are really long-winded, guys.
Yeah.
Calm down. We don't need this much background information.
Yeah.
Just ask
This
a question.
podcast is not about you.
This is about me.
So, there's an interesting mix, though. You guys did a good job of stuff that's pertaining specifically to the podcast, and then stuff that's pertaining to just Billy as a human. I guess he's a human.
I suppose. I don't know. I don't think I do it well, but
We'll try to
You
humanize
try,
him.
and that's why we give you money every month.
yeah.
We'll try to
trying,
humanize
kid.
him more today with these questions. Maybe
Sure.
you'll get a little more insight into the magical mind of Billy Procida.
I was so nervous you were going to mispronounce my last name.
I was gonna. I almost did it on purpose, but that was because of the whole saying the wrong name all weekend.
Oh yeah, I got our partner's name wrong initially, and no one's letting me forget it.
No. All weekend or week at AVN, my best friend kept calling him different names that started with B.
Oh, you mean her? I got wrong a lot.
No, but I mean, she purposely she had made that decision to call you the wrong name
Oh,
over
no, I
and
know.
over again.
I got it. I understood that. Look, if you're listening, I know you were disgruntled. I get it.
She's kind of just a shit too. So
But yeah, so from now on, I say y'all two are leading the way on this thing. I'm gonna do my best not to continue to interrupt women, which is apparently what I'm making a living on.
I'm in STEM. I'm used to it.
do you want to start?
Oh, God.
What question do you want to ask first? There's a lot of options.
I know.
Should we start with a lighthearted one? Let's start with a lighthearted one.
Yeah.
Okay, so
warm up, some foreplay.
just a little bit, a little cupping. So kind of a scenario. You finish a Billy Fuck Fest, which is, I'm going to trademark that. Somebody should trademark that. You finish a Billy Fuck Fest and you proclaim your hunger. One of those make me a sandwich kind of moments. What kind of sandwich, 2 pieces of bread and something in the middle, would you make?
Grilled cheese with bacon. It's not.
And you literally ate that last night. Is that just like a thing for you?
I eat like 7 foods.
Yeah, he eats like an 8-year-old.
You do eat like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
My partner was so disappointed that you don't like Asian food. I cannot tell you.
And that always confuses people. They go like, "What do you mean Asian food?" I'll be like, "Asian food, as in food that is Asian, as in from the continent of Asia." And then they go on the list. I'm like, "Well, how is that not Korean food? Yes. Japanese food? Yes. Indian food in Asia, therefore yes." I was like, "I don't Russian food? Where in Russia?"
What?
Because it might be a yes too.
What portion? What portion of?
Yes, it's just East Asia, Eurasia. So yeah, no, I also am partial to peanut butter sandwiches. Growing up,
Just peanut butter?
just peanut butter.
Okay.
Nothing
Yes,
else?
a lot of mothers were very confused by me when I went over their
They're
kid's
like,
house.
wait, no jelly? What?
No jelly.
I mean, you're just saving them supplies at this point,
guess.
so
Yeah, I
they
thought-
can't complain.
I never understand when people are upset. I go like, I'm making the job easier for you. It's one less step.
Yeah, for sure. Have you ever had a grilled peanut butter sandwich?
Wait, what? You can do that?
It's super good.
It's super good.
Yeah, you like butter the outside of it and either pan fry or like I put it in the oven too, and then it's like gooey peanut butter. Ugh, it's so good.
I did a few months ago put in between. I mean, I was going to make 2 grilled cheese, one with chocolate covered pretzels in the middle, and the other one I was going to do something. I think I was going to do bacon. I realized, oh shit, I don't have bacon, and I realized I didn't have cheese. So that's
This whole plan just fell out the window.
fell through. However, oh no, the bacon was there, didn't have cheese, so plan fell through. I was like, I'll get peanut butter. So I go make the peanut butter sandwiches, and in the middle of one of them, I did end up cooking and putting bacon,
Okay.
and that was great.
In a peanut butter. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I could see that.
Oof. And then the other one, I put in these like Entenmann's cookies, like little chocolate chip cookies,
Okay.
and they're very soft dough, and that was also a really good decision.
So they weren't crunchy.
No,
I just realized something. Do you like French toast?
yeah,
Okay.
I haven't had
you
it forever,
do
but I
like
like it.
Asian food, Hong Kong style French toast, 2 pieces of bread, peanut butter, grilled French toast style.
But from Asia, no,
It's Hong Kong style.
I wouldn't touch it
You wouldn't touch it.
on principle.
I was gonna say you just ruined it because you just have to sneak the
Yeah.
food in. Be like, try this thing, and then he's like, "Oh, this is delicious," and you're like, "Ha, fuck you, it's Asian food."
I'm 7. That's how you got to do it.
All right, I think we've thoroughly covered this sandwich question. The answer was just for reference, a grilled cheese sandwich with bacon.
If you were taking notes,
If you're taking notes, there'll be
There
a
will
quiz.
be a quiz. It's
And it's
midterm season. That's all I'm thinking about.
All right. Do you want to do the next one?
they're both you two are, by the way, way more prepared than I ever am to do this podcast. Lindsay's got a whole laptop out. Kenzie's got an iPad and a notebook. I have a notebook that I usually leave blank. I mean, this was like when I interviewed Jay Taylor. This is at the end of the interview. This is what it looked like.
Okay.
Pretty
yeah.
blank.
Okay.
Well, speaking of keeping notes, that leads us into, do you still keep your fuck spreadsheet? And what is on it? Like, what do you keep notes on in that?
It's way underwhelming. There was never, the spreadsheet only happened because of the podcast. That was to help keep track of guests who I've asked before, like, where are they? Which is the creepy part. But again, this is, to me, I'm like, I'm booking a show. This is,
Yeah.
pretend it wasn't people who made out with me. It's, so like, it's like names, where they are we Facebook friends? Have they done the show? Have they not? Etc. There's a notes section. So if like it was a heavy no, like don't ask again, stuff like that. The thing that's like the ongoing list is it's just like a little notepad on my computer and just like has the list of the names and then it has like the bases next to it. So it just says
okay.
name and the base, and if it's second or third base, then it says G or R for giving or receiving. Or
So that's what I want you to define, because I feel like the bases are still kind of fluffy,
Yeah.
especially
Sure.
when it comes.
Awfully heteronormative.
Yeah.
I am very hetero.
Yeah.
And we are very queer.
Lindsay just looked so disappointed.
Yeah. But so, like, define your bases for me.
Well, I also never got a proper teaching of it because I was not cool growing up.
But you're also using them, so you have
Yeah.
some sort of quantification.
Well, part of it is out of habit. Like
Quote
whatever.
you, words mean things.
Yes, but the thing is, like I started it back when I had such limited understanding of any of it,
Okay.
and I kept this list mostly out of habit.
Yeah.
Because I'm a creature of like, oh well, I should just keep doing the thing, and at the time I was using these base numbers, and I was like, I guess that's just my code. If I updated it to today, I'm sure it might look a little different. I probably wouldn't use bases. I would probably have like a whole codified sheet, like a what do they call it, like a key list or something, where you have
a key. Just
a key. Yeah, you're smart. I'm not. And I would probably just do it that way. But right now, like what? First base, making out. Second, some sort of like genital hand stuff fondling.
Okay.
Or maybe like a titty in the mouth.
Okay.
Third, oral. Fourth, fucking. And if there was a rim job involved, then I add plus an RJ.
Okay. All right.
Because, you know, those girls are special and they deserve recognition.
And what I discovered while on this AVN trip is that Billy likes receiving rim jobs but not giving them. not
He's
an equal
mentioned that
opportunist.
before.
Not an equal opportunist.
Yeah.
Not when it comes to rimming. I don't know why. I've rimmed 2 people. But I've licked 2 buttholes. I almost licked the third. I think I almost licked my girlfriend's at one point, but I haven't. I licked my exes, and if you remember Emily, the physical therapist,
Yes.
we had like a full anal night once.
Yeah.
It was like full on. Just tonight we're doing all the butt things.
All of them.
So like there was like fucking my butt with things. There was me fucking her ass. She rimmed me. I rimmed her. And then I tried to lick my exes once, and but I think she was a little drunk, and I was like, oh, but this is like an opportunity for me to like give, like, and so I start licking, and she goes like, no, pussy, no, I want pussy, and then I think I made the mistake where I went like ass to pussy licking.
No.
It was very momentary rimming, but rimming nonetheless.
I mean, unless somebody's like very cleaned out and prepared for that, yes, it's a bad
Yeah.
direction to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was pretty cleaned up. That's why I took my opportunities. Like, you know what? It's clean now. And I just, I'm in that headspace. I think I can do it. And I love this person. A big part of it is I love this person.
Rimming equals love. Pegging
God.
equals marriage.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm taking an entire class right now on all the diseases that can be transmitted that way.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So the
Please
spread.
don't tell my boyfriend.
So yeah,
I have flashcards.
Don't tell him.
so yeah, it's just like a little doc with like a running list in chronological order, and then the spreadsheet is just that list, but in a spreadsheet where I can like keep track of my guests and potential guests and people who don't want to do the show and things like that. That way I don't harass like the same person over and over because I forget that I've already like contacted them.
Billy is like one of the most forgetful people I've ever met. Actually, now over this last like
what
week
would
or
I
so.
forget?
A million things.
Besides the letting you in part, that was my fault.
You forgot we were even staying in a suite. I had like sent you the link to the suite, and you were like, "Wait, where are we
Well,
staying?"
I didn't forget.
2 weeks later, you're like, "Wait, what?" And I sent you the link again. You're like, "This is really nice." I'm like, "Did you not fucking look at it?"
I looked at the price and location. I was like, I'm in, sure.
Yeah.
simple man.
And just a smattering of other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, forgetful Frank. So at one point early on, you mentioned there was a big falling out with your family, and you didn't go home for Xmas or Thanksgiving. And somebody was curious about what happened there. I know too that you've kind of reconciled some of that, and you've been closer with your family again. So what
Let's
happened?
get into it. Let's talk
Let's
about
get into that
family.
fucking dirt.
I've never really fit in with my family. All this will probably sound dumb, but I don't really fit in with my family. They are all very typically attractive. I've always been typically attractive people, very good sports, very sociable, like always had a lot of friends, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
I was smart, read books. I was a little chunkier. I didn't know how to talk to kids. I got bullied incessantly. I don't know how. My dad didn't exactly know how to talk to me because he was popular. His brothers were popular. He doesn't understand why I'm having trouble with kids my own age. My dad was the type who says like, you go in there and you punch the kid in the face and then no one's going to fuck with you. And I was just like, I don't want to punch anybody.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to be nice to me. So I've never really fit in too well. We also hold different value systems, in my opinion, at least. I went to a boarding school. It was like a character education boarding school. A lot of seminaring, a lot of talking about your feeling, a lot of like personal growth. But it also had a family component. So you're seminaring every week, but like a couple times a year, the whole family's supposed to come up. We have family week, and then all the families are seminaring together.
Yeah.
My family didn't really do that part. So I was at the school for 4 years trying to grow and change myself, and I'm learning these words and these principles. And my mom would go. She went almost the entire time. My dad tried once or twice. I think my sisters did like one weekend, but it wasn't really for them.
Yeah.
So at the school, I, for 4 years, learned one set of things, and they kind of were doing their thing. So one of the core things that really made sense to me that I learned and that I really just embodied was truth over harmony. And I always describe my family as a little bit more harmony over truth. I think a lot of people,
I
a lot of
would say my
families.
family's like that too, definitely.
Yeah, let's keep it nice. Let's not have a fight. Can't we just have a nice dinner?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we can't have a nice dinner because like you said some fucked up racist thing. Like
Sounds very
and I want to talk
Italian
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that feel.
Yeah. So there was a Thanksgiving where I went home and just a lot of time, I come from a very spoiled area of New Jersey. I grew up spoiled. I won't say I didn't grow up spoiled. I like to think I wasn't a brat about it. Totally. I'm sure I had my bratty moments, but I would never call myself like a spoiled brat. But like a lot of kids, I mean, I come from an area of New Jersey where like you crash when you're 16 and crash, the BMW you got for your birthday, like daddy will just buy you a new one.
Yeah.
A new Beamer. But like it'll be certified pre-owned because, you know, you already fucked up the first one and you'll bitch that it's certified pre-owned. Right?
But it's not brand spanking new.
It's the type of place. I mean, like, I think they shot one of those like Sweet 16 episodes on MTV was like in our area. I think one of my sisters went to a Sweet 16 MTV show thing. So that's where I came from. I've grown that disdain and contempt for where I grew up. I do not like the culture. I do not like the environment. As you have both witnessed, I am not a like man who's all about this. I'm not very materialistic. I'm cheap, not by always by necessity, but by just like preference. And that whole culture is not Bergen County, the 201. I mean, we have a line in Ludacris's song, Area Codes.
Yeah.
We're in there. It's like it's like 313, 201. Too much green, too much fun. Like that's where I grew up. And I went to this boarding school where you think boarding schools, all these like preppy rich kids, right? But I went to a school where a lot of these kids, this is the last hope of not like overdosing or going to jail or just having a relationship with their families. A lot of them were on a lot of drugs or they were stealing, not going to school. And there's me, this fucking like very adorable, shy virgin who didn't know how to make friends. Didn't fit in there either. But I watched kids who like their families need them to go here. And I worked admissions 3 of the 4 years there. I watched families talk about trying to figure out how to get like take out a double mortgage on their homes just so their kids could go here.
Yeah.
So I watched not well off families. I watched a lot of financial aid families. And so I really learned the value of like money and that like that's where I learned I had it good. Because although I was at this like nice Connecticut boarding school, it was full of a lot of kids who normally couldn't go to like just any other boarding school.
Sure.
And that mixed in with the truth over harmony stuff, we a lot of times butt heads. I'm stubborn. That doesn't help either. So my family would say like I probably like argue a lot about things. And I say, I don't know, I think these things are important. And there's a Thanksgiving where we come home. I've never liked people fucking and being in my room when I'm not home. But as I got out of college, I started realizing like this just isn't like my room, so I can't really claim ownership now that I live in New York City.
Yeah, that you don't live there anymore.
Right. But like I still prefer like respect. I definitely don't prefer people fucking in my room, but again, I can't hold that, especially when I had a sister who was still in college and would have friends over for college. So we came home from Thanksgiving at the big Persida family Thanksgiving thing. We get home, and before I walk upstairs, someone says to me, Billy, we just want to warn you. Kelly had a party and like so someone was in your bed and they broke your bed. People were fucking in my bed and then broke the bed, and then I knew who. They told me who, and I said, okay, cool. It was like, he's gonna come over and fix it, and they were like, no, it's just. I was like, no. I won't say his name, but like he needs to pay for that. He's an adult.
Yeah.
He adultly broke a bed. Yeah.
Guys,
like,
adultly.
Like an adult, he broke this bed while fucking a chick he cheated on his girlfriend, fucking this chick none of us like, in my bed, broke it, and then doesn't want to claim responsibility. These kids have been fucking up my mom's house for years and just not caring because they don't have to fucking work. And so it was just kind of like a last straw and other things. And so like I kind of made a stand. I was like, no, because I have his number. I'm like, you need to come over and like fix this. And they were like, no, and you can't tell people because then they're gonna know that he was cheating on her, and that's a big thing. And then my dad started being like, I'll fix it. I'm like, no, Dad, it's really important to me that this kid who I knew somewhat well, I was like, it's important to me he comes over and fixes this. And like maybe this is in retrospect, I know dumb. But it's really important to me at the time. And it just became a shouting match where for some reason my bed got broken by people cheating in it and not wanting to fix it themselves. And then I was the asshole because I wanted like a 21-year-old kid punk to learn the value of like when you break something, you fix it or you pay for it.
Yeah.
And so it'd be this big fight, and again, this culmination of it. It's not like there's one thing; it's
it's
the
one of those
culmination of a
last
lot of
straw
stuff.
kind
It's
of things.
a lot of things where it's like clearly we just do not see eye to eye on some of these things. So I left, and I didn't talk to them for like 2 years. I saw them for my grandmother's funeral, and then a few months later, after that funeral, I started. I hit up my mom, and then I introduced Paige to my mom, and then I had like a meal with my father and was like, let's talk. I have a lot of baggage and a lot of resentment, so I want to go into that. And my dad and I had like a really good 4-hour talk at this place, and it was the beginning, and we started rekindling things. The sisters is a little easier because you're talking to peers, in a way, and things have been getting better. And so now, like, I go and I have dinner with my dad. And his wife, I'm not a fan of. And I have.
I mean, you went to the wedding too, so.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it was like it was at a Grateful Dead concert.
Yeah.
And he got married backstage at the Grateful Dead concert by Bob Weir himself. Of course, I'm fucking going.
Yeah.
And I'll watch you marry your boring wife. It's okay.
Your boring wife.
It's just she's very nice. It's just I don't see the thing that makes her interesting. And my dad. Even if I'm not even his biggest fan all the time, but if you meet my dad, you'd be like, oh, this guy's like a party. And then she's like, huh?
Maybe he needs somebody that's not a party.
Yeah, but it's someone with personality would
Could
be
you
nice.
imagine me with another me though?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be with another him, but like a low key, but with I don't know. I don't want to trash her too much. She's very nice. If you made the mistake of listening to this is your mistake. You shouldn't listen. You don't listen to your stepson's sex podcast.
Yeah, don't listen to your
God.
stepson's fuck show.
Yeah, which does sound like the name of a porno, right? Like
Stepson fuck show.
Stepson fuck show. So things have gotten better, but it took a lot, and I will credit my ex with a lot of like encouraging of like I should. Because I've never been the type where it's like, oh, because family is not an excuse for me, I'm not a fan of that. It seems arbitrary just because DNA's linking us.
Oh,
I got to give you a huge excusals. I was like, I'll give you 200 free passes. That's what DNA gets you for me. But eventually you run out. But things are better, and I feel better about them. And I know my mother and my parents are thrilled that I'm back. There was definitely a lot of like prodigal son. I actually didn't even realize until this past Christmas, this is the first Christmas I had been to since 2013.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Because 2014 was the first one I skipped. Then 2015 I skipped as well. 2016 I was at Paige's. So I was talking to everyone again, but Paige came to Thanksgiving for me, and then I went to Christmas in Pittsburgh. So it was my first Christmas in 4 years, and I had no idea. And I was like, why is mom like so emotional and wanting to cry all the time? And I didn't fucking realize like I've been gone 4 years in a way when it came to Christmas. So
And parents are so like attached to those holidays.
Yeah.
I'm also the eldest child. I'm the only son. So I think there's also a factor there. And so that's the family thing. I mean, again, the situation itself seems dumb and silly, but it's just like I have a lot of resentment about both towards where I grew up and my family itself, because my family does play into some of that, or used to play into a lot of that that culture of like wealth and like let's go on have nice things. We need a new dress for every Sweet 16, that type of stuff. And I was just never that kid.
So it was just a lot of build up, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Would you ever have a family member on the show?
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. Just none of them would.
What would you want to ask them?
Oh, I would do the same thing we normally do. I would just let's talk. It just depends on the family member. I think with dad, my dad has had infidelity problems when he was younger, and ultimately drove to their divorce. And I would want to ask him questions because there was a really beautiful moment. I remember I was in a deli in like Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, or like Fort Lee, New Jersey. So my middle sister Morgan and my dad, we're having lunch, and I think my dad's on the cusp of like divorce number 4 or 5, all with the same woman. It's my dad, my parents. My parents split up and got back
together, apart, together.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. And I think we asked him towards like divorce 3, 4, 5. Like I think we're just like, dude, just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, why are you still fighting? And there was this beautiful moment where we're just sitting in a fucking deli in New Jersey. Like, well, she's my first love. And I forget that sometimes. My dad and my mom like met in high school, and they'd been together since high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if 15, 16, 17, something like that, but they stayed together there. And then they stayed married for almost 27 years. So Like I forget that, and so I would definitely want to talk to him about that. My mom, I would want to talk to about. I would want to ask about strength, about taking someone who cheats on you that much back. About autonomy. My mom was a nurse. My mom totally worked. Didn't have to. My dad, since pretty much since like they got married, he's like, look, you don't gotta work. I'm working with Trump. Like I'm doing good. Like we're fine. We got a house.
Your dad voice is killing me. P.S.
My sisters say that doesn't sound like him, but to me, that voice is what my dad is
He is
to
that
me.
caricature in your brain.
Yes,
basically.
exactly. And so she coached like the local girls basketball team, 10 consecutive undefeated championship seasons. No big deal. 7th and 8th grade girls, but hey. So she was working. She worked until she got pregnant with my youngest sister, and at the third kid, it was like okay. So she then left a career, and then at the divorce, then she had to try to find a new job and get a career and herself, and now she's working, doing great. But I would want to ask her about that, about like giving up something that you loved doing that you didn't need to do was a viable career, and then also about like dating post divorce. And also my dad would probably just have good stories. Like we talked about the women he's dated since divorcing my mom. Hilarious, just really good stuff. So I would probably ask them about that. My youngest sister would be my youngest sister had a boyfriend die a couple years ago.
Oh.
And I would definitely want to talk about that because that still is a thing. This still affects her hard because this is like, you know, arguably probably like her first real like adult love, and you know, she was in college, and so we'll probably talk about that. And now she's 22 and she's off like volunteering in Bali right now. She just got there, and so probably just talk. Morgan would be interesting because I think we have very different views on not just sex, but definitely on dating and love. Like she's the one who I'm surprised isn't already married type.
So you have two sisters?
I have two little sisters. Yes, one is 17 months younger than me, Morgan, and then the other one's like 5 years younger than me, Kelly.
Okay.
And I would probably want to talk to Morgan about like. I mean, we probably just talk about sex dating. I mean, the amount of times I've had to explain to her polyamory or like the concept of gender, like with my girlfriend and things like that. I think she still has a hard time understanding like, and y'all are just cool with this? You know?
So that answers the question I had about coming out, if you'd come out to your parents about polyamory.
They always knew I was some kind of like non-monogamous. I don't know if I've ever like sat down and be like, guys, I'm poly. And they'd be like, cool, pass the bread. I don't fucking care. I think they're just like, okay, he's not gay. Like that was the big concern growing up.
Yeah, it's for me, it's one of the topics that I haven't broached with my parents by the fact that I'm in my 30s, because I already have been dealing long term with the fact that they still don't accept that I'm queer, like at all. Like just pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, how they do it, because I don't think you can bring home and they think like she's totally straight.
They think I'm straight. I mean, so my partners generally are currently of masculine nature, some feminine parts, but
well, he's got fabulous hair, and
fabulous
like great
hair, fabulous
fingernails,
nails, way better nails than me ever. Wears way better makeup than me ever. But because when we first started seeing each other, he wasn't like that. He was very masculine, and has transitioned slowly to being more feminine.
Gotcha. Okay.
They still view him
as the boy they met.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're both goth kids, so we've always been kind of ridiculous and fabulous. And I think that's what they attribute it to instead of it being a gender thing. But yeah, so my parents still to this day don't even acknowledge that I'm queer. So it's like, why would I add another thing onto this pile when we can't even get past that first thing? So why am I even going to add another thing?
I think I broached the polyamory thing first. I kind of had to, because it's like I started dating someone who was married. So it's like, there's really no choice. This person very obviously has a spouse.
Yeah.
And I either don't acknowledge them in my life, or just like, hey dad, like, I got a boyfriend. He's got a wife.
Yeah.
Sometimes I play with both of them. Leave that part out.
Yeah, I think as soon as like they found out about the porno I did, it was just like, okay, whatever. He's doing something.
I haven't done that yet, Dad, if you're listening.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're fine. They just want me to be happy type of thing. They may not understand. I only just started like broaching the gender topic with them recently. But yeah, they're fine. They don't care about that stuff. Like I said, I think my dad was I think everyone, not concerned, like they were like, oh, he better not be gay. I just think they were like, Billy cries a lot and he's probably
Very well could be gay.
very probable. They didn't bring home a girl for a long time. So yeah, they're fine.
And I brought so many girls home in high school and nobody fucking said anything because they didn't know.
Right.
So they were like in complete denial. As an adult, I came out to my mom. She still like pretends like it didn't happen. But I was like, yeah, I've always liked guys and girls. And in high school, I slept with mostly women. Like I didn't sleep with guys until I was pretty much out of high school. And she called me back like 20 minutes later and was like, Lindsay, you had a lot of girls over in high school and we did not have an open door policy with them. And I was like, you're right. I got laid so much. Thank you. So much, Mom. Thanks. Yeah.
Heteronormativity is good for some things.
Yeah, some things. Somebody asked, what is a kink or something you found out you were into during the past 200 episodes that you didn't know before you started?
That's a good question. And I'm not, I don't know if it's podcast related. I don't think the podcast had anything to do with it, but I think I really came to acknowledge and accept that I really dig the Stranger Play stuff. Mm-hmm. I think as soon as I did that one with the Reddit chick and the blindfold and she comes to my house thing. And
yeah,
that one was cool. And then I think I'd done other things similar with the threesome I had with Emily, the physical therapist. We did something similar, though it wasn't a stranger to me. It was a stranger for her. All that. I think just like having these scenes, that's hot for me. And although I had done them before the podcast started, I think I only started develop vocabulary for it when I had started doing the show. But you have to remember, I started this podcast when I was 24. So I was still so early I was still developing my sexuality. Mm-hmm.
And I'm still going. I mean,
still going, but
I'm in my 30s and I'm still finding stuff out.
I think everything wasn't that I've discovered anything new, but I have only just since developed it and figured it out further. Yeah, I've explored it further over the last 200 weeks.
So
sorry to whoever wanted a better answer.
I know.
We were hoping dirty. Yeah, some hot info.
Where can we even ask you?
Nina Hartley. That's one I found out I'm into. I found out I'm into Nina Hartley. Okay. I didn't because I did not know who that was before this podcast.
You didn't know who Nina Hartley was before this podcast?
Before this show started, I knew probably the name of 5 porn stars, and I think 4 of them were retired.
Okay, but Nina's like a household staple. I feel like she owns Nina.com. I learned how to fuck girls from Nina.
Wow. Well, you remember I went to 4 years of boarding school where I didn't have access to pornography.
Sure.
Because we didn't have internet in our rooms, and it was against ethics. The rules were called ethics. But so all the porn I had was a lot of it was old, Taboo with Kay Parker, just old porn or with nameless people.
Yeah. This actually leads into a question. Do you remember what it was like the first time you saw porn? Do you remember the first porn you
or
ever
something
watched?
sexual?
Or something sexual.
Yeah.
Like
Something
that?
sexual.
I want to specifically ask about porn.
Yeah.
If you remember the first porn you ever saw.
I'll try to do both. The first thing I think I saw that was sexual, I think I was in first, second grade. My dad had this cigar box that I distinctly remember.
I've heard this before. Yeah. You've said this before.
Yeah. The cigar box, and there's just a woman, and she's some sort of indigenous woman, probably Cuban or something, and she's got one breast out, and it's just this full, it's a good titty. It's like a painting type of sticker, logo, but it's very realistic, and she has a real good boob. I just remember seeing it and having my jaw instinctively come open, salivate, this needs to be in my mouth.
Yeah.
But then again, in first, second grade, it wasn't that long ago that titties were in my mouth, right? Yeah. So I remember that distinctly. I remember being in my bedroom with Luke Rice looking at this cigar box, and just we're both silently just on my bed staring at it, and just be boob.
Boob.
The first porn that I knew probably was porn, I think the first time when we got internet access in the basement where there's a computer where no one was there all the time. It was in a separate room. But again, yet that shit took forever to load. You had a picture that was just going line by
line. So I have a really ridiculous first porno story. The first porn I remember seeing was when we had computer access to, and it was on my grandpa's computer at their house out in his office that was in the shop, so completely separate from the house. And I wasn't looking for porn. I was writing a report on bears. You can see where this is going.
Yay!
So despite the fact that back then I was mainly interested in women, I was like found this like super hairy buff gay bear porn website and was so into it. And I think I was maybe 12.
God.
Yeah, but I was doing a report on bears. So those adult blockers don't always, you know.
I think my first like real relationship with porn was definitely like the AOL chat rooms. It was definitely more of that where like you're just exchanging. You go to the lesbian chat room and then you talk to other men pretending to be lesbians and then you just exchange the same porn pictures to each other. So you'd be like, oh, you're so hot. ASL, here's a pic.
Yeah.
And it's just
The early catfishing.
early catfishing. And you started to realize that this was all fake because you start getting the same picture that would just get passed around.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but because I didn't know how to download porn at that age, I just knew how to exchange stuff. My porn collection was whatever people would send me in these chat rooms, not knowing they're sending it to like a way underage boy. Eep.
I mean, I feel like I did a lot of that too when I was younger. So
Yeah.
I feel that.
Those are my earlier porn memories, I would say.
I just wrote a lot of dirty fan fiction.
I'm a fan of the literotica, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I got through like high school. I would
Yeah.
print them out and stuff them under my mattress
Yeah.
because they're nondescript. It's just words.
Yeah.
You know, no one can see that what it is.
Yeah, written porn was always of interest too, but I
Yeah.
think it was purely about access. Well, and I feel like at that age, your imagination is so vivid too. It's easier to
Yeah.
get into that. I tried to read some erotica recently and wasn't nearly as enthralled as I
Our
remember
brains are
being.
so rewired now.
Yeah.
When we're young, we can just get into that. Now it's hard. I mean, I'd have to go to there's a mcstories.com, I think is still up. It was all mind control stories. Those I could probably get into because they are so specific. But if it was some generic like fuck story, get out of my
Yeah,
face.
Just like,
Bored.
talk to someone and talk to a partner and they'll
Yeah.
write something for me
Well,
in the
I
moment.
think that's the problem is that like I personally, unless it's not well or if it's well written, I could probably get into it. 'Cause I'm just judgy about my written content at this point, but I recently read, I'm not into feet at all, but I read this story on FetLife that it wasn't even a story. It was just a guy describing why he's so into feet in the most beautiful graphic detail. And I got fucking horny as shit. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I hate feet. It was just so well written that I couldn't get over it. I was
Yeah.
like, what? It just made my brain spin. I was like, what the fuck? Discovering new things about myself all the time.
Yeah.
The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by Cam Soda, today's 24/7 digital strip club. Yes, surely you've seen by now, you can watch women get naked on webcam. You can watch men, you can watch really any gender get naked on a webcam and do whatever stuff you nicely ask them to do. That's just now a part of the adult entertainment business. And camsoda.com has like thousands of amateur girls next door and some of the hottest porn stars working today, including Danny Daniels, Tori Black, and Brandy Love. I've gone and taken a look at Cam Soda myself, and it's quite enticing. Really, no matter what your fetish, no matter what kink, no matter what body type or gender you want to watch, Cam Soda's got something for you and is totally free to try. Yes, Cam Soda is going to give listeners of the Man Whore Podcast free tokens just for signing up. Yes, you do have to enter a credit card number. No, they are not going to charge your card at any time. There's no subscription. There's no rebilling. It really is 50 free tokens for you when you sign up at camsoda.com/podcast. That's camsoda, CAMSODA.com/podcast. I am going to stop recording this. I'm going to edit the episode, and then I'm very likely going to go jerk off on camsoda.com with my free tokens. I recommend y'all do the same. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by beadandy.com. Look, I've definitely had a lot of moments where I'm hooking up with someone and we're ready to fuck, and I go into my drawer and there's no condoms there. And then I go into another drawer and there's no condoms there either. And then I literally will go into my closet and I will search through fucking old winter coats in every pocket, desperately trying to find a condom before I lose my erection. And there's none to be found. See, that's not a problem when you've got a condom subscription plan. It's not that weird, you know? I mean, they got subscription plans for razors and groceries. So why not condoms too? It is less expensive than buying them at the store. Shipping is discreet, so you won't have to go through that weird, awkward moment at the drugstore. And you can get 50% off your starter pack. Yes, $3 for your first order, which includes 6 condoms. And then it's just $6 a month after that. Did I say $3 for a pack of condoms? Yeah, that's what I said. To enjoy this deal, go to beadandy.com/podcast. That's beadandy.com/podcast. I will not spell podcast for you because, hey, I believe in you. Going over to beadandy.com/podcast. Get yourself on a condom subscription plan. I don't care if you have a dick or not. It is always good to have some condoms nearby. Now let's get back to the show.
So, when was the last time you did a "Am I into penis" check-in?
Oh God, which into boys patron asked that one?
I don't even know. I removed names from pretty much all of them.
Oh, look how all your integrity.
Well,
I could look. I've got my email open.
Yeah, we could look.
I could take guesses. Last time, I don't know. The AVN was confusing time for me. There's a lot of like
beautiful men, right?
A lot of also like hot trans porn stars,
yeah.
and so like my Twitter feed was full of that, just because of all the people I started following. And it's amazing when you start like following a bunch of porn stars, you start getting a bunch of porn in your fucking Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And also like I follow porn like publicists.
Oh.
So I've been seeing a lot of like trans porn pop up, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Or also like being in Vegas and in San Francisco on Tinder and Bumble, like my TDAR is quite good. I don't know if I'm allowed to say TDAR, but I figure if you say gaydar, then how is TDAR not offensive? I don't understand. Is transdar better? Because that one sounds. TDAR sounds like a feature that comes with
any
it.
Of this.
No?
Tag me in this episode.
No. Well, I know. Wait. Tell me. Inform me. If it's okay to say gaydar, right? That's still a thing that people.
I'm still mildly uncomfortable with that, even.
Okay, I'm just trying to go by cultural standards. People tell me what I can and can't do.
Just because something's culturally standard doesn't mean it's right.
Good point. Fair.
And it's less safe to be trans than it is to be gay these days.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
when I'm looking on Tinder, for me it's practical because like although it's fine to be a woman with a penis, I happen to not be into penises on women. I happen to not be into penises. So for me, like sometimes I can tell when I'm swiping through. I can tell when someone's super passing, and I just be like, but like I've been around enough queerness now that like I can just kind of spot that. And be like, wonderful, you look hot, girl, but it's just not for me. But recently in San Francisco and Vegas, I've been like,
maybe
I'm really confused right now. This is, ooh. And also with how horny I was in Vegas and in San Francisco, I've been so horny because like I don't know why. I've been surrounded by sex, and then I was in San Francisco where like I couldn't seem to. I was having a really hard time getting laid or meeting up with people, and so I was just like, "How horny am I?" And like, she is really hot, and
I feel bad because I feel like I kind of started that because immediately when I got to the hotel room, I got naked. In AVN, I was like, boom, stripped down naked, getting in the tub.
Yeah.
And then just like had a chat with Billy while I was naked.
Yeah. So I think the check-in was like, the days ago.
Yeah. Okay. So very recently.
Yeah,
so,
it's still not quite there, but we're working on it.
Yeah,
guys.
small, inching forward, but it still sounds like girls.
Tune in for episode 400,
Yeah.
and maybe you'll get the answer you want.
Look, people, Billy with penises comes at a price. Like there is a price. If someone just comes to me with it, I'm there.
So this question had some little sub questions. Like, has
Sure.
there ever been a hot guy that made you wish you were bisexual?
I mean, I've never wished I was bisexual. Okay. I've only wished I was bisexual when I've been so incredibly horny and seen how easy it would be for me to get my dick sucked by a dude, and how like difficult it was finding a cisgender woman to do that. Those are the only times I've like wished I was bisexual.
You're like, yeah, it would be easier.
It would be easier in New York City, especially. Holy fuck! I could get my dick sucked every day in New York.
mean, I've never been to New York, so I
It's
just have to
just-
take your word for
It's
it.
Grinder Central. It's just insane.
Grinder Central.
it's so-
Another trademarked term.
Oh gosh. So I've never wished I were bisexual. Really, there's never been that. But like Ryan Reynolds has like a great body.
So that's what I'm moving on to. What man would you go gay for a one night stand?
a role needs to come with it. But Ryan, I'm listening.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of the body and a little bit of the personality.
Oh my
Let's
god,
be
the dude's so
real.
fucking funny. His comedic timing is unreal. He's like Dane Cook if Dane Cook could act. I mean, I used to when I was younger confuse the two of them because they look very similar and they are both very funny and the way
Mannerisms are kind of similar. Too.
mannerisms similar and their delivery. So like if there's ever a Dane Cook biopic, like Ryan would play Dane
Sure.
in my mind.
Didn't Dane Cook, wasn't he in some like Disney Cars movie or something?
He's been the voice in some of the cars.
No, it wasn't Cars. It was that Planes. It was the
Right.
offshoot of Cars.
Oh dear.
I didn't watch it.
He's
I
a-
watched all the Cars movies, but I did not watch Planes.
They've tried to get Dane Cook to act and it doesn't tend to work out too well.
Doesn't
but,
go well.
but Ryan is just a talented treasure.
Beautiful man. Oh, this list.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Do we want to get into some of the like more intense ones?
I think we can, but I feel like these clumps of questions need to go
Oh,
together.
that's true. Okay.
Well, while y'all two figure that, I'm gonna go pour water. I'm not gonna turn this off, so you're all welcome to keep talking.
Give me one too.
if you want to. I'll go grab water. For
Don't let the dogs
Mind your
in.
stuff now. Am I just gonna grab water?
Yeah, go get everybody water. Be a good boy.
I like being a good boy.
Don't let the dogs in.
Most important.
So we've got some other chunks of questions
Yeah.
that
We get to
end up.
strategize now.
Yeah, and there's big.
I think we should end on the questions that like just rip into his soul.
Wait, which ones do you consider the ones that rip into his soul?
The one about
The
that one and those sort of go together because like
sure. We can
Yeah.
end on those two big lengthy
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Do you want to let's
Yeah, these
let's
are good ones.
broach
There's
those together?
he and I just talked this morning a bunch about all of his Twitter drama in the past. So
Cool.
yeah,
Wait,
we
Where's the question about Twitter?
no, just about criticism in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we already unearthed all that trauma.
Started digging it up this morning. Gotta get deeper now.
Yeah. I saw a book by Cooper Beckett on my bookshelf.
It set some things off.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the wonderful Airbnb
Oh my
bookshelf
God.
too, with the like, what was it? Something happy
There's a
Christian
lot of
household or
Jesus
something.
things.
Yeah.
I had.
And you guys definitely, I missed out on fucking there.
No. So Billy booked us an Airbnb for a threesome that fell through, and he just booked the most wholesome Airbnb.
It was a house, or it was a room in someone's house.
Yeah. First of all, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why does
Not
he
a good
think
job.
That's a good idea.
Lesson learned: don't let Billy plan things.
Oh my god! Seriously. He's just like.
And it fell through because I had a really bad flat tire. Really, worst week I've had in a long time.
Yeah. But it was gonna be like, yeah. So it was in this, nice old couple's house with their several dogs, and they were renting out another room to like the parents of some college kids who I probably TA for. They're probably some like water polo freshmen in the engineering class I TA. And we were gonna just like have a threesome, bang it out in this wholesome Airbnb.
It's perfect transition because I have been waiting months for this threesome,
And then it didn't
Seriously?
fucking happen.
and we still drink Menage a Trois wine.
without
The Trois.
the twa.
Yeah.
Menage a us.
Yeah, my life has been bad this week, so it was just like a cherry on top that this all happened last
Yeah.
night. It was awful.
Yeah, I haven't had the best week either. I did still get laid last night. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I got to go home and go to bed. I was pretty excited about
That's
that
fine.
too.
And from what I've heard about AVN, you'd had sex a lot more recently than I had. I hadn't had sex since the beginning of the month.
Oh yeah,
very sad.
I banged it out a lot
Yeah.
at Avian.
I feel a little bit less bad that if one of us was going to have to miss out, that it
Totally.
was me.
Yeah, I'm glad that you got your fill.
I got my dry spell.
I was gonna say, and I feel like you guys have more time this evening together,
That's
right?
true.
Too.
That
we do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have another date with somebody else, so that's not gonna happen. But
So such a cruel mistress.
I mean, you know this.
Yeah, I'll wait.
All right, so we're gonna jump into the slightly more. There's some a series of questions that somebody sent in that all kind of have to relate to each other.
Yeah. And I thought this was appropriate given we were talking about this morning with your previous drama.
Oh, great. Can't wait.
Just in general. It's not specifically about that. But while doing this podcast, what has been the most difficult aspect of getting criticism, and what has made a positive impact? Have you been able to make actionable changes because of the aforementioned criticism? I think we cut out.
Those were a lot of words.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
Do you want me to repeat it or like dumb it down for you, honey?
I'd actually prefer if you just dumb it down for me.
Okay, I can do that for you. What's been the hardest part about people being mad at you?
Okay. Cool.
And during those situations, have you actually done anything to change the way you behave?
Sure. I hate people not liking me because I want everyone to like me. I grew up with no one liking me because I was this annoying little kid and with no friends. So I want friends. I want people to like me, right? And I think I've had to learn in my in this adult life of mine that not everyone's gonna like you, and that's okay. People will hate you no matter how right you are. Someone will always hate you.
Yeah.
So I've just come to accept this. It just sucks that the people who I first truly, the sex pos world is really the first world I truly identified with. I never really felt a part of anything. Comedy community I did, but I was a young one, and but the sex pos people, they're the ones who I felt like at least got me, like, because when I went to, I've said this before, but like going to Hacienda for the first time, I was like, oh, these are all the outcasts. Like, these are all the different sexual orientations that got yelled at. These are the genders that like people didn't understand. And then I was like, no one's understood me fucking ever. So if y'all are like accepted here, then I must be accepted here because, no one's fucking accepted me. So I kind of felt kindred spirit with all that. And so when those people get mad at me, I go like, oh shit, like we are on the same team. So that's unfortunate. So I think the hardest part is realizing that like not everyone's going to like me and having to accept that. Something I've done to change was I actually for the month of December did refused to comment on any Facebook threads. Like, I didn't comment on anything. So if I wanted to actually contact, if I had a response, I just had to say, I'd have to actually contact them privately. I was like, hey, I'm not doing Facebook comment threads this month, but here's the thing.
I think that's a nice way to approach people too, especially because if it's a heated topic,
Yeah.
you can have a more intimate discussion with somebody about disagreements if it's one-on-one. I feel like when it's happening in a platform where multiple people can comment, you end up just piling on top of someone.
Or people get self-conscious and defensive about being called out and care more about preserving their image than listening to the message. So if you disagree with something publicly, it's just tends to not go over as well.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a group of strangers. So like
Yeah.
during my like Marvel Universe incident, whatever, it was like I had like 50 strangers who were mostly avatars I don't fucking know yelling at me, calling me an asshole. And I'm like, well, you don't even know me. And so I made the folly at, how old was I? I think it was 25 or 26. Like, I made the folly of trying to respond to each one. Be like, oh no, I can turn this person around times 50 or 100 or whatever. And just not possible. So and I find that criticism, at least me, someone asked me recently because she's trying to pitch an article somewhere about call out culture and whatnot. And it's like, what would make you more receptive? I was like, if you know me as an acquaintance and you like truly don't know how I feel about an issue because you saw a joke that included a trans person in the joke, ask me.
Sure.
If you have something you want to criticize like very seriously, I don't know, just reach out to me privately. I'm very accessible and I take it seems more sincere. When you just shout in a comment thread and we don't even know each other, it's like the most insincere thing possible.
And it can be performative allyship. I see that a lot. And that's just like not productive at all.
Yeah.
And
it's just making sure other people see you being supportive.
Look, I called out a person.
Yeah, I
and
did the thing, guys. Look at me.
Yeah, where's my ally cookie?
Exactly. And I have to check myself on that too and make sure I'm not doing that. I rarely try to do that. But it's like, it's just so fake to me. It just makes it seem like you're not actually interested in turning me. And I think if we're going to improve the society, we have to actually sadly turn individual people, because there's so many people who I think are on the cusp of getting it and they just don't, for whatever, whether it's not they didn't have proper sex education, they grew up in a really bigoted household, they just never met a fucking queer person, whatever it is. I think a lot of people are on the cusp and they just have to know better. And like, I was there. I used to not understand like what a trans person was.
Yeah.
I used to not get a lot of things. And it was just both an exposure element and people having genuine conversations, people answering questions I had without jumping down my throat at it. I mean, like, okay, like the question is really, really bad. But like, let me talk to you. Right. That's always, I think that's not just for like someone criticizing me, but I think that's the best way to go at most people. Most people who are in the middle need that. The people who are just fucking terrible, that's a whole different story. But so many people who like, they don't necessarily always mean poorly. They just don't fucking know better. So the not responding to Facebook comment threads again to like endless flame wars, that's something I've like literally done recently to try to change the behavior. And then a lot of times I'll like write out a response tweet and then I won't even hit enter, but I'll type it out and then I delete it because then I feel like I said it. And if I have to hit the send button, I send it to a friend. Like I said, my friend Katie, she's the one who like I send a Craigslist address to. So, right. So I'll also
accountability buddy.
My accountability buddy. Like, hey, if I like go missing, tell the cops it was this address.
Yeah.
I'll just text her a random thing. I'll be like, hey, I just need to send this to someone so that I've sent it. So my mind is like, oh, I sent the thing, even though I didn't send it to say a partner I'm fighting with, but like you feel like you got it out. And that's something I've been working on doing recently.
So I think that the aspect that, or the direction we took this question was more about criticism from the general public. But at the same time, I think the question can be taken as how has this been getting criticism from your exes and previous people you're involved with? How has that, I don't know, what's been the most difficult aspect of getting that sort of criticism directly from people you've been involved with?
Well, I mean, y'all listen. I don't get the criticism a ton.
Yeah.
The people I think would have a lot of criticism for me
won't come on the show.
I try. I do try. And I do remind them, you don't have to be nice to me.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a quote unquote good or polite guest. Just come on, be open and honest. And so, you know, people don't like Dove, but, she was willing to say that she thought
that episode. I didn't even dislike her. I will say that.
Yeah.
But with that one, it's like at least she was willing to be open and honest. So when she sat down, she's like, "Oh yeah, with that time I came over, I opened the door. I was like, oh, Billy got fat." Like, okay, cool. Like you're being honest. If I could get that honesty from more, I think I've had guests on the show who haven't been fully honest. I think there's some really valuable people who could really teach me something that just are still not comfortable with it, and I hope that they change their minds one day. But I will still continue to try in the most cautious, non-harassy way possible. You know, Ella Dawson, you have an open invite whenever you're ready. Because that one night we made out furiously was fantastic. And since then, a lot went down, right?
A lot has happened.
So, you know, you're welcome on. And I won't silence you or invalidate you.
I think we've kind of covered this already, but the continued portion of this question was, what have you learned about being resilient to that criticism? Like what do you do?
To be less resilient. I think that's part of my problem is like, no, I'm going to bunker down. No, Billy, maybe take some of it in.
Absorb it instead of becoming a brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of it was me being self-righteous and immature and stubborn. I'm very stubborn. So I've been learning how to take I'm learning how to take criticism. Even if I ultimately disagree with it, I'm still learning how to take it in rather than just be like, no, bye.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Don't have to always be right.
I mean,
being right's pretty awesome.
It's good. It's good. I highly suggest being right all the time.
Yeah, me too. It's a great way to live a life.
And have you changed your interview strategies with past flames because of what you've learned from them? From like early episodes, things you've learned from exes and how you got information out of them? Have you developed the way you interview people now?
It always depends on I interview guests differently depending on our context. If it's someone I just hooked up with once or twice and it was something where we knew nothing more was coming of it, let's say it was, I don't know, someone fucking Reddit. And it was a blow bang on Reddit.
Yeah.
Right? We know what we're doing here.
We know.
So that one's going to be a little bit more of a conversation about the experience, about our feelings on it, and see where it goes. I try not to have, like I showed you all my blank pages in my notebook. I try not to have too much of like a structure, but there's certain women that I do have questions for. There's certain women that I'm like, no, but like what happened here? Like what went down? I mean, people hated her voice. Fine. But I genuinely wanted to know like what was going through your head. Like did you even enjoy the sex? Are you fucking me just because you're bored?
Like,
Are you
fucking pity fuck?
Honestly, yeah, but that's been. I've been in a stage where I've been like really not always pleased with where my body's been in like the last year or so, and so to know that was valuable to me. I mean, it would probably have been more valuable to not care, but like that's never going to happen. So to get an idea of like what was going through her head, for her to say like, for her as a really hot person who has really no need to be polite to me because she don't live here. She was like, dude, you're not a bad looking guy. Like, you can say that all you want, but so to hear that like was helpful for me. Or, I think sometimes you get revelations like Jay in episode 2 even was like, I thought we ended things for one reason. And then Jay ended up being like, oh no, we stopped fucking because like wanted to stop fucking you. The boyfriend came like months later. I was like, oh,
Okay.
Oh, my mind rewrote history a little bit, but
Yeah, to be more favorable to you.
so I try to with the ones who I have something to actually ask, I try not to force it because you don't want to open with like, okay, so why did we stop fucking? Or like, why wouldn't you love me?
I really want you to start an episode like that, please.
Why
did we stop fucking?
I will.
For why don't you love me?
I will try that.
I like the why won't you love me?
Yeah, why don't you love me?
But just trying to, honestly, it's recently I've tried to keep these things like, whether it be a former flame or just a regular, some non-hookup guest. I try to see if we can connect. I find that those are the better episodes. So with my past lovers, like if I can at least get us to connect like we once did, whatever caused us to want to fool around together, can we recreate that in this hour? Even if it's not going to be sexual or flirty, can we connect and have a conversation and maybe see see if we can find that spark that made us want to do it again. I mean, with Diana, that was kind of a little bit of that too. Cause it was like, when we were talking, it was like we were out on a date. Mm-hmm. Like, can we make this a date where I promise I won't try to fuck you if you don't want me to?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how all dates
should be.
Right. Maybe I worded that wrong.
Well, that's pretty much a normal date. Yeah. Okay.
I won't try and fuck you unless you want me to.
Sadly, in this country, like, not always the case.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we go for the sob story?
I mean, yeah.
Do we want to
Jesus.
read the whole thing? I kind of feel like
I don't want to paraphrase it. I think it transitions into what you were just talking about. So,
Okay.
do you want me to do it or do you want to? Okay.
All right. Billy, in episode 196, you were talking about your insecurities with thinking anyone's attracted to you. This is a feeling I share. In my case, it probably has to do with being a virgin until 24 and having very few sexual partners. I know my girlfriend thinks I'm attracted, but I'm convinced her opinion hardly matters because she's just brainwashed by being in love with me. When we've been with other people, we're swingers. Like you, I'm always questioning if they're attracted to me or if they're there because my girlfriend and I'm just along for the ride. I've always thought that hearing I'm attractive from other people that are not my girlfriend and seeing that there are other people in the world who have sex with me would help shut that voice up. I do believe that has helped. However, it seems that in your case, you get plenty of sex and validation from many women and you still have that voice in your head. What do you think it'll take for that voice in your head saying you're unattractive to finally shut up?
Therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, the essence of an eating disorder isn't whether it's anorexia or bulimia, like the throwing up or the not eating or over exercising. That's always a symptom. It's a inner thing. It's a you thing. It has nothing to do. You can have 1,000 people tell the hot anorexic chick that she's hot and she's still not going to think that. It's got to come from within. So probably some therapy. I mean, not for nothing, losing 10, 20 pounds might be, might help speed things along, but hey, honestly, therapy. And that's something I would like to be able to like afford to do, in the near future. It's a 2018 goal.
Yeah.
Just get into therapy. But
I mean, I think it's helpful. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but I'm long-term recovering eating disorder. And for sure, like, people pay to watch me fuck. So like I find myself decently attractive, I put myself out in the world. But it took a lot of introspection. I definitely agree with that. Like I had to be like, okay, no, I'm fucking hot before I got comfortable with any of that.
And sadly, like I still do need like some nudges along. So we'll get that voice away. I don't know. I've been trying for a long time, and we'll see. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. I've been wanting, but part of me goes like, that voice needs to stay there a little bit if you're gonna stay funny, fat boy. Like there's something to keep the comedic juices going.
Well, I mean, you can come from that world and still like. I feel like people that grew up fat tend to be funnier.
Right.
To be honest, like,
right.
I mean, because there was like some compensation there. You were trying to make people like you. I was a
they
fat
still
kid
didn't.
too.
I was funny, and they still
And
didn't.
they still didn't.
No.
I mean, people liked me, but I
Yeah.
was a fat kid too. So, these have PS on them. I've been wondering lately if maybe part of this problem is that I think women are beautiful and men are not attractive, which I thought was an interesting PS.
Okay.
I mean, okay. And then a PPS. No surprise, we definitely share sexual fantasies of being used by women.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like you do share that sexual fantasy being used in general.
Yes. You.
I do. I do.
I do.
I think we're all pretty well.
I like being put to good use.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like a good boy.
And you like being called good boy.
Yeah. That's a newer thing, but yeah. Time for the fan whore appreciation moment. Oh, just because it's episode 200 doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. This is the part of the show where I like to give some shout outs to members of my fan whore community on Patreon, the people who help make this shit happen. Right now, shout out to Sean M. Oh, you've been having a lot of fun in the Peep Show, haven't you, buddy? Huh? Thanks for your submission, by the way, to our Man Whore Podcast contest. I'm sorry you didn't win, but you made a valiant effort. Santiago, hello. I love your name, baby. And I love that you support me and this show with your dollars. And a big shout out to Artie. What can I say about Artie that hasn't been said about most beautiful women? Thank you for sharing yourself with us. Glad you're having fun getting to know your fellow listeners. We're certainly enjoying getting to know you. And you too can join our fan whore community for as little as $1 per month. Support your favorite man whore by becoming a member at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now let's wrap up with the gals.
So there's only a couple questions left, actually.
Okay.
So we're getting pretty close here. And two of them are a little more lighthearted, and I think we're going to end with our not so lighthearted one.
Great.
Drama reasons. Yeah. And so one of them that I wanted to ask was, it's a question that they have for anyone that's a comedian, or that anyone that ever gets with a comedian. Did it ever come across your mind that something that you shared together would end up in a comedy set? Because you fuck other comedians, like, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you ever think, like, in the moment, this could end up in a comedy set?
No, I'm too busy, like, enjoying the sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never contemplate that at all? That
I mean, it might end up in my comedy set. Like, who
true.
fucking knows?
That's
Do
very
you ever
true.
find yourself planning bits during
During a fuck?
No. The only time things are going through my head during a fuck are like last night when I couldn't get the Greatest Showman soundtrack out of my head. It's fucking... no, that was this
Did he
morning.
start singing?
Not this time.
Yeah, that was a problem. That was definitely getting in the way.
Do you want to get this one?
Oh, that's not really a lighthearted one.
Yeah.
What is it about gambling you like so much?
It's a lighthearted one. Hey,
The
guys.
follow-up chunk is less lighthearted.
Are you usually successful or not?
Well, am I successful with my gambling? Hilarious. I wouldn't have 4 roommates in Bushwick if I was great at gambling. What a fucking moronic question, whoever asked that. Fucking idiot. You're great. You're awesome. Keep downloading, but what the fuck, dude? Okay.
I mean, but who's actually successful with gambling?
Plenty. They're professional gamblers.
Okay, but then they're
professional poker players.
But they're getting paid for like being on the
No, usually they get staked. What the idea is like someone's staking them typically, so they're not necessarily playing with their money, or it's not mostly their money. And so like if they win, then they win money, but if they lose, they didn't lose anything. But you have to have become a proven poker player to be just getting staked by the TV show. So
what
you don't
you're
just like show up and they say, oh yeah, here's money to play. No, it's like they had to have already played a lot and been a really good poker player.
So what you're saying is you need to stop sucking.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. I don't want to go. Gamblers Anonymous, the first thing they say, the only thing you need to be a member is you have to have a desire to stop gambling. And I don't want to stop gambling.
You just want to start winning.
Yeah. Just want to stop losing, dude. Like, Gamblers Anonymous should just be like a class where we all learn how to be better gamblers. Every week there's a new lecturer
On counting cards and
math, learn not to play, Caribbean stud poker because the odds are so bad for you. Things like that. It's a rush to me. I've never done hard drugs before, but I imagine is the same rush you get if you say did like cocaine or any of these uppers I hear about. When people describe the buzzing in your brain and just the vibe your body feels, it's similar to when I'm on like a gambler's high, and the gambler's high can be winning or losing. That comes either way. Like it still feels like a tap in the vein, but it's also the same high and feeling I get when I'm on stage crushing. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm on stage having a great set, like doing or having fun, because I don't have to just have a great set to like have to feel it. If I'm having fun on stage, oh my gosh, it's the same fucking thing. And that was kind of why I was like, a lot of times, sometimes when forced with like, should I go to an open mic or can I go to this card room? It's so important if I can get myself to the mic because I know it's the right decision, but also like I can get that same feeling there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always feel that way.
so it's technically a gamble too.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Sorry,
That's why you do porn.
Basically. I am a dad.
No. So yeah, it's a rush. That's the feeling, I would say.
Okay. Really the last question is kind of an in-depth one. So something that this person has been thinking about is how you often talk about being attracted to all types of females, different ages, body types, etc. You often say something along the lines of having a face is the most important thing to you. However, the impression I've gotten from the way you describe them and the photos of the ones that I've seen is that all of the women who you have fallen for or been in relationships with are of the stereotypically thin and pretty variety. It seems strange to me that for someone that is attracted to so many different body types, that you seem to only become smitten by one. Do you think this is a fair assessment? You've also talked about just knowing early on if you're into someone. Maybe that's simply because of physical attraction. Do you think it's possible you're unconsciously closing yourself off from falling for women who may not be considered as typically attractive?
And the subject line of this email, which was not in our document, is Billy, are you subconsciously shallow?
I don't know who's been looking up my exes, so that's concerning to me. Because unless there's been very few where like the pictures are out there, so they're not really supposed to know what they look like. So
I think it's a mixture probably of the way you describe people,
Sure.
and it's not hard to figure out. Like, there's pictures of people you date on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
via you.
I feel like there's only two women who like you would find like through my Instagram,
Sure.
which would be my ex and my current girlfriend. So I don't think I've posted with others like throwbacks or anything. So I hope people aren't like. I mean, I make my Facebook profile private for a reason, so that people can't go like, well, let's go through Billy's friends list and like look up the Emilys and see who we find. You know. Mm-hmm. I don't think that would be a fair assessment. I mean, I fucked up BBW porn star on Sunday. So, like, that was...
Well, that's the question. It's not about who you fuck. It's about who you're smitten with.
Who I'm smitten with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going through my mental Rolodex of the smittens.
Yeah.
Sure. Take some time to assess. Yeah. I understand.
Well, they're not all like typically like thin in the same body type because like, I mean, my current girlfriend and my ex have different body types and...
But they're still pretty thin and standardly attractive in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think the thing that really gets me is for being smitten is it's personality. Mm-hmm. Like, are we vibing? Are we doing the exchange of the banter? And like, am I just attracted to you physically? And
So there is some shallowness there because it's
everyone's like,
yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but
everybody has to.
See, I don't
like,
think so because I think when you fuck people, you're fucking people you think you are attractive.
Sure.
And not everyone finds the same type of person. There are people who aren't going to find you attractive for like your cool haircut. And there's some people who are going to be intimidated by your height and or your piercings, right? Yeah. So that doesn't mean make you not conventionally attractive. It just means you're not attracted to that person. In a way, we're all shallow because we're all trying to fuck people we find attractive. Sure. Just what we find attractive is different person to person. You know, there was a chick the other night in San Francisco on Tinder before she canceled our date super inexplicably. It was a weird one, but like she was specifically into dad bods. She thought I was super sexy. In that way, she is shallow because she would reject him based on his abs.
Sure.
Which in one way is shallow, but someone would be like, "Oh no, she's going for like a real guy." Like, no, she's judging him based on his body. She just has different standards than you. You're scoring differently.
True. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that. I just also haven't, come across as many varied types that I end up with. I don't know.
Well, and I think also just you haven't had that many romantic interests either.
Yeah.
So like it's a numbers game almost.
It's hard to claim any sort of a trend.
Let's say I've been like smitten with like hard with like maybe 15 people since I was 18.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say like a lot of them were probably some kind of like thin to average size.
All white. I'm going there.
That's fine. That's totally fair. Yeah, I think all white. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think some of that is probably from where you grew up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proportionally,
I don't
like, community wise, that just ends up how it happens.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't not find like other races attractive. It's just like I would love to hook up with some. There like these. There are Indian women that are just so fucking gorgeous. Am I not allowed to say I'd like to hook up with an Indian chick? I find Indian women really fucking attractive. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought we lived in a society that typically doesn't put brown women on screen. I'm like, can we put all of them on screen? They're great.
You want to see all the brown.
And not all, but I'm not like fetishizing. I don't like beat off to Indian porn, but maybe that's the title of the episode. I don't beat off to Indian porn.
Don't beat off Indian
I
porn.
am not being associated with that episode.
Yeah, but I mean that is a fair thing, and it's something I think about when I try to book because I want to get more diverse, more diverse types of guests. Since my sex life isn't as diverse, it's mostly like white and like Hispanic, and like a sprinkle of Asian, a sprinkle of black, but it's mostly like white and Latina chicks. So I can't get, say, a lot of racial diversity from my past hookups. So but I can get it in who I book on the show. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, like, are there like porn performers that are like of color that I can get on the show? Is there like if I have a choice of like 3 marriage like therapists, like, is there a couples counselor like who's just not a typical white chick? So I that's where I try to find the diversity because I'm not gonna go like hook up with a string of black women just so I can book black women. Right. I think that would be disingenuous.
Yeah.
But if it were an Indian woman.
Yeah, and
but if it were an Indian woman,
well, they're just some like super. Sometimes I go like, I don't know. Look, everyone has gone and thought, what races have I and have I not slept with? Everyone's done it, whether it's problematic or not. We've all thought like, I've never slept with a Middle Eastern man.
Kenzie's like falling apart now.
Well, Kenzie's snowflakes are melting, and so and sometimes I see like on Reddit like a picture of a gorgeous like Indian woman. I'm like, I looked up an Indian woman. She's really pretty. I'm like, where do I meet these people?
Where do I meet these people?
What, the Stern Business School? Sure, but like I was invited to their parties in college, so at NYU, that's where it was. That's where you're gonna find it. Kenzie's dying.
I think Kenzie's a little over now.
Well, I know we gotta get. What?
I can't share this with any of my friends.
Why? You don't have to co-sign it.
Oh, God.
You can go right now on the record, Kenzie. You should go into the microphone and be on the record and say that you disagree.
I support nothing that comes out of Billy Procita's mouth.
Oh, nothing? Or how about just like the last 7 minutes?
Last hour and a half.
Oh! Well, those were all the listener questions. Did either of you two have questions
You have a notebook.
I asked a few of them.
as we wrap up here? Is there anything else that was burning that you thought you wanted to ask? I think you had a thing you were bragging about earlier. You were like, I have a thing I really want to ask you. It's going to get you in.
No, it's not a like bad one. It's which former Man Whore podcast guest would you put in your celebrity death pool?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I assume we're going with the non-hookup guests because they're
right. Anyone who qualifies to be in the celebrity death
right. Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, well, actually, one of them is on my celebrity death pool.
Oh, who is it?
Yeah, Betty Dodson. She's like 88.
Yeah, that's a safer bet.
She's 88. She's up there. Also, it's going to be an original pick because no one else even knows who that is.
Yeah.
So I'll get double the points. Betty, I love you, but just before your 89th birthday. If it's this year, it doesn't have to be this year, but if it is before your next birthday, just don't cost me the extra point. She's. I actually want to get her back on the show. If I had to go after Betty Dodson, probably. I'm just thinking more like age because I don't think I know any of them that are like heroin addicts or anything like cool like that.
Because being a heroin addict is cool.
That's why Billy Joe Armstrong is on my celebrity death pool. He used to have a heroin problem. If he relapses, Philip Seymour Hoffman all over again. I maybe would probably go Cindy Gallup, just also age.
Sure.
But I just feel like that woman ain't dying. She's too busy.
Forever.
She's too busy kicking ass. Yeah. She's too busy trying to change the world. She doesn't have time to die.
No time to die. That's like a James Bond. Like no time to die.
And it's gonna start, but it's gonna be Jane Bond because Cindy Gallup's trying to change the world.
Yeah.
And close the gender gap.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for doing this. This was really fun. Holy shit. Thank you for helping me celebrate 200 episodes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patronage.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you for touching my penis.
I guess.
That was pretty cool, too. I don't think Kenzie wants to sleep with me anymore after this.
This evening just got awkward.
Yeah.
Want to go back to the Airbnb without me?
Oh, gosh.
Hang out with Kathy and Bill.
Well, Lindsay,
read about the 5 love languages.
Oh, they had a lot of interesting books. Thank you all both so much. I know you don't want to be plugging things, but
I don't have anything interesting to plug.
Lindsay, do you want to plug if people want to pay to see you naked?
Sure. I mean, some of you have already if you were doing, the Facebook Patreon page when we were still doing nudes on there and briefly on the Peep Show. But I'm not doing those either things anymore, but you can find me on Twitter. Lindsay Sins for You. It's LINDSAYCINS, the number 4 and the letter U. Or just contact Billy and he knows how to hit me up.
She's go check that out. Big fan.
Gotta slide in those DMs.
All right. And anything else y'all would want to say before we go?
No, I think I'm good. Let's do another couple hundred episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, you think I should?
You gotta keep fucking a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
You think I should? You should
on
keep
it.
going? You don't think this is over? You're not over it?
I mean,
we'll
see
what everyone else feels.
Yeah.
TBD.
Well, thank y'all so
I renew my
much.
pledge.
Oh, gosh. Oh, boy. All right, ladies. Thank you so much. Let's say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Later. Oh, wow. That was so much fun. I got to tell you, I was nervous. Wasn't sure what the chemistry was going to be like. I thought the chemistry we were going to figure out while getting naked and having a threesome. But as you heard, that didn't happen. So I'm glad it worked out. They were great. They were so fantastic. Please go buy Lindsay's porn. It's super good. It's super hot. I've personally utilized it on many of occasions. I want to know what you thought. Did I do service by you? Did I do right by y'all in this 200th episode of the show? I want to know your thoughts. Send me your comments. Send me your questions or your booby pictures to manwhorepod@gmail.com. Oh, that made me forget the first fan boobs. How could I forget to mention the first fan boobs? That was Sophia, who y'all heard on this podcast last year. She's the Uber driving hot mom. She was the first one to send me her titties. They're good titties too. If she gives me permission, I might tweet them out. I might post them in the places. Obviously, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @TheBillyPresida. Use the hashtag ManWhorePodcast. Let me know what you thought about the show. I don't ask for this one quite nearly that often, so I do want to say, if you care to, please do leave me a rating and review on iTunes if that is where you listen to this podcast. If you listen somewhere else and they have some sort of rating or review system, I would appreciate your kind words. Last and, well, certainly not least, arguably one of the most important things that I could tell you right now is that you should become a member of my fan whore community on Patreon. Not only will you be supporting me and this podcast, but you will also be joining a fabulous community of just wonderful individuals. You can join up for as little as just $1 over at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. It has been an honor and a joy and a privilege talking to y'all for the last 200 weeks. I'm looking forward to next week with 201, where we've got on AVN award-winning transgender porn star Venus Lux. Y'all are in for a treat next week, but until then, stay slutty.